Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, a lot of discussion in the offseason around the linebacker room for Florida State heading into 2024, which kind of made us go back and kind of do a little bit of a deep dive on DJ Lundy, what he brings to this Florida State defense. And Dill, I think we came to the same conclusion. DJ Lundy on defense might be the singular most important player for this Florida State team heading into 2024, where is he necessarily the best player on this Florida State defense with guys like Pat Payton or A.Z. Thomas? No, probably not. But you talk about the biggest question mark that we have for Florida State heading into 2024. It's at the linebacker room, specifically linebackers that can stop the run. I don't think it gets any better than DJ Lundy in terms of linebackers playing downhill and stopping the run, really in the ACC conference. You go back to some of the numbers, led this Florida State defense last year with 24 run stops with an incredible average depth of tackle of 2.5 yards down the field. DJ Lundy plays about as downhill as any linebacker that you'll see across the country, and only missed 3.4% of his tackles in the 2023 season. Just to kind of ballpark how impressive that number is, Tatum Bethune, who was a very good linebacker for Florida State, missed 17% of his tackles. DJ Lundy is one of the more, I think, kind of under the radar linebackers that we see in the ACC, and quite frankly, is going to be massive for Florida State's defense in the 2024 year. Want to get into some of the film that we saw in the 2023 season, talk about the impact that DJ Lundy can have on this Florida State defense. Before we do, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys and to the Florida State fans. We're just 7 days away from kickoff. The amount of support y'all have shown all offseason long, whether we're talking recruiting, whether we're doing film studies, we've had a blast talking this program. The amount of support y'all have shown, been amazing. If you guys do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And Dill, I think you might be a bigger DJ Lundy fan than I am. So I'll kind of let you tell the people before we get into the film on what DJ Lundy brings to this Florida State defense.
I think what's so important about Lundy, and I think you said it right, like he's probably not the best player on this Florida State defense. There are certainly guys with more talent who will probably go higher in the NFL draft, but they lost so much experience in that linebacker room. And basically everyone coming in has played almost no snaps for Florida State as linebackers. Obviously, Riley's played a fair amount in his college career, but aside from Lundy, he's really the only guy who kind of brings that experience. And I think when you kind of think about the way Florida State last year, and I think I heard Bud Elliott say this at some point, they really did a good job of not making a ton of mistakes on the back. Yeah. They were always in position. They were passing coverages off correctly. They didn't give up a ton of busts. And I'm looking, when you lose all that experience, especially in that linebacker room with Tatum Bethune and obviously Deloach, like those guys were rock solid. I think you need somebody to kind of come in that you believe will give them some of that leadership, that presence, that ability to command the defense. And that's what I think they need to get from DJ Lundy.
Yeah, and specifically, I think more in the run fits. I mean, you talk about Florida State, I think what is the biggest question mark, especially going up against Georgia Tech in 7 days? Georgia Tech's going to want to run the football. The biggest question mark I think a lot of people have with Florida State is how well they're going to be able to stop the run. You look at the secondary, it's elite. Best secondary, one of the best, if not the best secondary in the country. You look at the pass rush. Pat Payton, Marvin Jones, Siona Lelea. We feel really damn good about what the pass rush is going to be. But Florida State was solid against the run last year. They weren't great, but they lose two veteran linebackers. They lose Braden Fisk on the middle, Fabian Lovett, and Jared Verse, who was probably the best edge rusher defender in the run game that we saw in the country. And so I think the biggest question mark you have about Florida State on defense is how well they can stop the run. It's obviously going to be tested in 7 days against Georgia Tech. Having a guy like DJ Lundy, who again, his PFF grade, stopping the run, I know that's not gospel. 90.9 was by far the highest graded run defender on this Florida State team. That goes a long way in kind of mitigating some of your concerns about Florida State stopping the run. And Bill, I think it starts with how downhill he plays. One, his instincts in terms of getting into the backfield. We see a lot of linebackers. We just had this conversation with Arkansas yesterday. A lot of linebackers aren't difference makers. They might fill the stat sheet up in tackles, but they're not difference makers. They don't attack the line of scrimmage. DJ Lundy, he's one of those linebackers that attacks the line of scrimmage. You see him playing here at that off-ball spot. His first step is always downhill. And again, his feel to get behind the line of scrimmage, and an underrated athlete in terms of closing the distance on ball carriers. DJ Lundy's ability to attack the line of scrimmage and make his plays in the run game at or behind the line of scrimmage, I think one of the biggest things he brings to this Florida State defense.
And when you want to be a really great defense, you need linebackers playing like that way because, again, it's okay if you just don't give up a lot of big plays and you want to play that style of ball. But I think you see the way Florida State's trying to build this defense. It's to be more of that smothering group. And you need linebackers who, aren't making plays that could go for 2 yards, turn into plays that go for 5, or plays that should go for -2, go to 2. It's like that type of thing. Again, when you really want to control the game on the defensive side of the ball, you certainly need your linebackers to have that mentality. And I think DJ Lundy has.
Look at one of the best defenses that we've seen in the last 5 years consistently, the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, yes, their linebackers fill up the stat sheet with tackles. They're all going downhill. And you look at Florida State, what the recipe is for having an elite defense. It's stopping the run on first and second down and then letting your pass rushers pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. Again, DJ Lundy is going to allow this defense to get into some of those third and long positions. Take a look at this play. Probably my favorite play that we're going to talk about here, Dill. DJ Lundy's ability not only to play downhill, but to take on blocks is exceptional. We see in this era of college football where we're trying to go to a little bit more athletic linebackers, they struggle to take on blocks. DJ Lundy's played some fullback. He's played some fullback for a reason. This kid is a rock when he's coming downhill and being physical at the point of attack. You take a look at this rep right here. One, again, first step's always attacking the line of scrimmage. He has such good instincts in terms of where that ball is going to go in the run game. He fits this run perfectly, but what I think makes this play special is this is blocked up decently by Louisville. You have this H-back coming in, fitting DJ Lundy. Look what DJ Lundy does to him. I mean, just absolutely destroys that block, gets off the block, and then ends up making a play. Shout out Patrick Payton for kind of keeping his outside shoulder free on that play as well. I think this play just signifies DJ Lundy's value to this Florida State.
He's also going to need to do that because if I'm opposing teams, he's kind of the guy in that linebacker room that you probably look to take care of him first in terms of when you're thinking about who's kind of the block you're keying in on. And you even see Louisville trying to do that, obviously isolating him with that fullback. I think DJ Lundy will just have to be taking blocks. I think he's going to need to be really good because, frankly, if I'm an opposing team, he's the guy I'm looking to kind of come after and make other guys prove that they can make plays. So, again, if he can free things up for everyone, if he can get off blocks, make plays himself, I think, again, that's kind of the recipe. Again, with the thinness, if you will, in that linebacker room or lack of proven talent, I think he's going to need to be a star. He's going to need to shed blocks. He's going to need to play sideline to sideline. There can't be holes in his football.
So talk about DJ Lundy having a bigger responsibility, probably more on third downs, right? You look at DJ Lundy, he didn't play a ton on third down. He was kind of that rundown linebacker on first and second down, and then he kind of go off the field on those third and longs. I think one of the bigger storylines that I'll kind of just raise my hand and say, hey, personally, I probably didn't give DJ Lundy enough credit is kind of what he can do, either rushing the passer or dropping back in coverage. Take a look at this rep. They kind of used DeLoach more as that pass rushing linebacker, that blitzing linebacker. DJ Lundy can do that. You go back to the numbers. He didn't rush the passer all that often, but when he did, he had a 20% pass rush win rate. And you look at Florida State, what was one of those things that made that Florida State defense truly elite in 2023 was they sacked the quarterback almost 9% of the time. That was top 5 in the country. Now, a lot of that production came from guys like Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. I think DJ Lundy can give you some juice in the pass rush department here. So kind of playing that off-ball linebacker spot. One, he loves to work downhill. Like, this is where I think what he wants to do. And then secondly, he's got a motor on him. I mean, takes on this running back who's picking him up in pass, bro, works through it. And then how about the athleticism? I mean, Jaden Daniels just won a Heisman Trophy, is one of the more electric quarterbacks that we've seen in college football. DJ Lundy just kind of stalking him down on a 4th and goal. One of the most important plays in that football game, DJ Lundy coming up with it. I think DJ Lundy can provide a little bit more value than a lot of people think as a pass rusher for Florida State as well.
And I totally agree that should be an important part because you're right. You kind of need to replace the leadership, if you will, of Tatum Bethune, the ability to control kind of the game, if you will. But you also need to replace what Kalen DeLoach was bringing, which he made some monster plays for Florida State. I mean, they obviously don't win that game at Clemson if they don't make that play with him. They need to have guys making those type of plays. And again, you kind of look right now, it does feel like a lot of that burden both ways, both being the leader, both being the playmaker. He's going to just need to be an all-around elite linebacker. He's going to do everything.
I think secondly, he's going to have to play more. I think DJ Lundy, because you had guys like DeLoach and Tatum Bethune, you had the privilege to trot DJ Lundy off on those third downs. DJ Lundy's going to have to play pretty much an all-down linebacker role for Florida State in 2024. I think he can do it. Again, I think one of the more underrated concepts and things DJ Lundy brings is what he can do in coverage as well. 3rd and 4. He's going to end up picking up a tight end, crossing the field here, right in the hip pocket of this tight end. This is exactly what Pitt wants to attack here on a linebacker with the tight end. DJ Lundy getting in and making plays. Dill, you kind of noted it before we went live. Not only kind of some man coverage look right there, but DJ Lundy's got a really good sense. This kid's played, 1,500 snaps in his career at Florida State. Just like we talk about with Deloach and Tatum Bethune, DJ Lundy's got a really good feel in pass coverage as well. He might not have that premier body type at only 6'1" and 240 pounds, but the feel, the instincts, it's certainly there in coverage for DJ Lundy, which makes me feel better about DJ Lundy being that all-down linebacker for Florida State in 2024.
Especially as they replace guys who you kind of said at the top just didn't make a ton of mistakes, didn't leave guys wide open, didn't bust in coverage a whole lot. Again, so much of that responsibility, I think, falls on his shoulders, and got to step up and make it happen.
One of the conversations that I think is so important, especially at the linebacker role, is everybody wants to talk about NFL talent at the linebacker spot. I want to know what I think is a heck of a lot more important at the linebacker spot at the collegiate level than NFL talent. Having experience, having reliable linebackers. I think the biggest problem we see with a lot of defenses that they might have a stud at linebacker, but if they have linebackers that don't fit the runs, that aren't dropping back in their zones the right way, that's how defenses get beat. I think to have a value like DJ Lundy, who you just know is going to be ultra consistent, like Tatum Bethune, I think that's massive for Florida State. So again, kind of rounding out this conversation, is DJ Lundy the best player on Florida State's defense? No, probably not, right? I don't think he's going to go over in the NFL draft from guys like A.Z. Thomas or Pat Payton. That being said, I think there's a very real argument that DJ Lundy is the most important defender for Florida State heading into 2024. He's going to get an opportunity early against Georgia Tech and that run game. Really, really excited for that one. We'll close it there. Again, appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later.